Hey there guys, this is Coach Harris, and I came up with a cool name for this. We're going to call this 5-minute tutorials. If you saw the first one, then this is going to be part 2. So the first one was on how to tell whether or not a graph represents a function or not. We did vertical line tests. This is going to be part 2 to that. Now we're not dealing with graphs with this, but we're looking at data sets or number sets. So the question is whether or not a relation or a set of data, numbers, represents a function. Okay, so this all has to go back to our thoughts on x's and y's, graphs. Let's pull it out of graphs and let's think of it like this. Remember, anytime we have an ordered pair, we have an x and we have a y. Okay, so there's going to be two numbers involved there. So let's take, for instance, this thought. Let's say I had data represented like this: a 0.13, a 0.47, a 0.311. Okay, those right there. Now, to put it simply, what we want to think about here is, do any of the x values repeat? If you remember back to the previous video, we talked about the graphing and whether or not a vertical line test passes the test for functionality, if a graph does or not. And so we said if that vertical line stopped at any point on that graph and it hit 2 or more points, then it's not a function. Well, what does that mean? That means there would be 2 points in the graph itself that have the same x value. So if it stops vertically, that means it has the same x value right there, okay? So the question is, does x repeat? If the answer is no, then it is a function. Okay, so if the answer is yes, the x does repeat, then it is not, it is not a function. Okay, so kind of a simple idea there. All right, if we have x's that don't repeat, then it is a function. If we have x's that do repeat, then it's not a function. So let's take a look at this data set right here. I'm given 3 points. I'm going to look at the x values only. So we could also think of that as the domain. In this case, the domain is the number 1, the number 4, the number 3. Do any of those repeat? The answer is no. So this data set represents a function. That is a function. So that's one way to think about it. Okay, so now let's take a look at another set of numbers, maybe presented to us a different way. So we have 3 points like this. We also could have it given to us in a t-chart or an xy chart. Okay, let's say I had -1, 6, 0, 5, -1, 3, 4, 7. Okay, let's go back to that original question. Do any of the x values repeat? Well, 0 doesn't, 4 doesn't, but what about -1? Yes, -1 does repeat. So this set of values is not a function. It's not a function. Now, just to piggyback on what we did with the graphing, let's look at the graph for this. Very simple graph. I'm going to look at -1 and +6. There's a point there. Okay, 0, 5. There's a point there. I got -1, 3. All right, look right there. This, if I were to take a vertical line right down there, it hits 2 points. So this is a pictorial representation of what we just said over here. According to vertical line test, not a function. According to the question, does the x repeat? Not a function. Okay, one other concept I want to show you in how something is a function or not, and that is when we're dealing with mappings. Well, what do we mean by mappings? Let's say I have x values over here, I have y values over here, and I have 0, 5, 7, and -3. Over here I have 11, 0, 1, 2, 6, and 7. Okay, let's say a mapping shows me this. The 0 is connected with both 11 and 0 for y values. The 5 is connected there, that is connected there, and those two are connected there. Look at the x values. All right, 5 and 7 are only connected with one y value. 0 and -3, however, are connected with 2 or more y values. So this would be not a function. Okay, so let's finish it up with an example of a mapping that is a function. I have a set of x values here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it in a circular or an oval right here. So I got -2, I've got 3, I've got 0, and I've got 1. and I've got some data over here, y values. And so let's say I have 6, 7, 0, and 5. So this is connected here, this one here, this one here, and this one here. Each x value only has one and only one y value connected to it. So this is a function. Hopefully that helps you guys. This has been a 5-minute tutorial with Coach Harris. Thank you.